So another guy who is at number 4 for both of us on this list is Josh Conerly Jr. from Oregon. What do you like about him?
See, this is one where I go, okay, if you want a safe starter with maybe a little lower ceiling than a guy like Simmons, then you go ahead and take Josh Conerly. I think he's just a solid football player. Good feet that I think mirror well in pass protection, just keeps moving, doesn't give up on plays, got enough athleticism and I think enough strength to fit really in any scheme. And I even think about, if he's available at 31 for the Kansas City Chiefs, this is someone I would take. I think this is a safe bet to be a solid starter in the same sense that I talked about with Donovan Jackson. I think the main issue that he has in pass protection is just when he doesn't use his hands properly and guys get up in on his chest, especially guys with longer arms. I think that can be an issue at times for Conerly, but I like his athleticism. I like his all-around game. I like his experience in kind of a multiple run scheme over there at Oregon. I think he's a relatively safe player to call a starting left tackle, right? So for me, if I'm somebody who values high probability outcomes and values kind of low risk and guys who can help me in the immediate as a starter, I'm taking Conerly over Simmons because I feel like if I have him, let's just say, take the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a perfect example at 31. If they don't sign Ronnie Stanley, desperately need a left tackle, biggest weakness on the whole team, right? For next year, would you rather have Conerly or Simmons?
Conerly, yeah.
Right. This is where I'm at, right? And I get it. If they want to take the home run swing on Simmons in that sort of hypothetical scenario, then cool. But for me, Simmons is someone who either you have to be willing to wait, even if you get some rough reps as a starter, or you have to sit him behind somebody and get him to learn for a year and even recover from the knee as well, right? Whereas Conerly, I think he's plug and play. Somebody in the 20s or 30s is going to take him. He's going to be their starting left tackle.
That's why I really like Conerly to the Chiefs, especially over Simmons, because the Chiefs already took a home run swing last year and Kingsley swung went to EO.
Their window's open every year.
Yeah.
That's the big thing is they need players, and this is why they're going to look at Ronnie Stanley, but even if you're looking inside at guard and they move Kingsley inside to guard, are we sure?
Yeah.
Right? And then would we be looking at guards? Would we be looking at a guy like Donovan Jackson instead if they got Stanley and trying to get that high floor starter? That's the difference is team situation.
Yeah, exactly. Because Kingsley was one of the biggest boom and bust prospects last year. I would not take Josh Simmons for them either because it's like all of a sudden if you take Josh Simmons and then your plan is either Simmons or Kingsley at left tackle, well, what if they're both struggling left tackle? Then what are you going to do?
Or if it's Simmons at tackle and Kingsley inside at left guard. That's been also something that's been rumored to be maybe a possibility. If you have those two guys who you go, oh, we're swinging for the fences. Well, you swing for the fences, you're going to strike out a good percentage too.
Yeah, exactly. So I like Conerly a lot as well. He's a quick tackle, very explosive player, can get upfield in his zone scheme. He can mirror speed rushes really well as well. 87th percentile 40-yard dash at 5.05 seconds. Quick hands to fight defensive linemen. He has good competitive toughness as well, and an 83 pass blocking grade over the last 2 years. Now, I think his game kind of lacks anticipation and timing right now. There's a lot of times where stunts I saw work against him a little bit. Also, he's not the strongest tackle either right now. I think his hand placement and his timing needs a little bit of work. Too often defenders get into his chest. Below average arm length as well, 33.5 inches. Won't really displace defenders in the run game too much, but got all the movement skills you want in a tackle. Good enough size, good enough length as well. He needs to improve his anticipation and his strength, but he's still a very young player at only 21 years old. And I think in his zone scheme especially, he could be a long-term starter in the NFL. So I'm a big fan of Josh Conerly Jr., and I think he's well worth a first-round pick in the NFL draft. And like you said, he's a very high floor player. And any team that's competing for Super Bowls right now that need a left tackle, like you think about the Ravens, if they lose Ronnie Stanley, the Chiefs, if they don't get Ronnie Stanley, if there's any team that does not get Ronnie Stanley, essentially, you're looking at Josh Conerly
pretty
Jr.
much. And those are the two teams that I would be looking at. Absolutely. I think he would fit in both. And I think that's a big thing for me with Conerly, too. I think he would fit in at least somewhat just about anywhere. I don't think it's so heavy where it has to be in one scheme or the other. I think he's a pretty translatable plug-and-play starter. And you mentioned it for whichever team doesn't get Ronnie Stanley. And another big factor was Alaric Jackson going back to the Rams. Yep. He was someone I think the Rams would have looked at, but Jackson is back with the Rams. They don't need a left tackle now. So it's going to be interesting, I think, in that mid to late first-round range where Conerly ends up.
Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.